Great. Okay. Well, hello. My name is Nico Gonzalez. I am a features writer for Mixdown. That is mxdwn. I'm here with Jean-Pierre Jeunet. Hello, Mr. Jeunet.
Jeanuet, pas Jeannot.
Hello, Jeunet. Thank
Harvey
you.
was spelling me like this, Jeannot. Jean-Paul Jeannot.
Jeunet, not Jeunet.
Yes, please.
Yeah, of course, of course. I get that with my name all the time, so I'm very used to it. Well, it's great to have you here, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us.
Mhm.
Um, just to get into it, can you talk about where you were in your career going in with Amelie now that it's 20 plus years old? That's pretty incredible, and I'd love to hear where you were when you were going into that particular film.
When I when I made Amélie, that's the question.
Yeah, the process where you were in your career at the time going into making.
Okay. Um, in fact, after Delicatessen and the City of Lost Children, I made with Mark Caro, Hollywood called me to make Alien Resurrection.
Mhm.
And I couldn't believe it because after Ridley Scott, David Fincher, and James Cameron, I thought they will fire me after 2 weeks. And they didn't. And I made an arty movie. Americans say it's an arty movie. This is a very bad word for USA.
Mhm.
But it was a big success in France. I was on Hero in France. And before Alien, I started to work on Amélie. And I had plenty of notes, anecdotes, souvenir, but I didn't have at this time the main story. And when I came back from LA after 20 months in Los Angeles, I came back in Paris. At this time, it was in winter, very cold. The sidewalk at this time were full of dog shit on the street, and everybody smoked at the restaurant. It was just a nightmare. But I saw my beautiful Paris, and I thought, this is a beautiful city. I have to show to Parisian people and to French people and to the rest of the world how this city can be nice. And so I started again to work. And one day, one morning, in the middle of my notes, I read a girl, she helps other people and she doesn't want anything in return. And I understood this is the main story. Voila.
Yeah, there it is. Well, you're talking about Paris and watching the movie, it feels like such a love letter to that city, and I wanted to know what elements you wanted to capture because it feels like every facet of that city is
Yeah.
fully represented within Amelie.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, Paris is a beautiful mix between modernity and old stuff. And I love that. I share that passion with a comic, comic designer, Jacques Tardy.
Mhm.
Oh, you don't know Jacques Tardy, but bref. And just I wanted to copy a little bit the picture, the photo from the 50s. At this time, no parked cars on the street. The streets were empty, and we tried to get that. We modify the poster on the walls, on the board, and we hired a designer for that, a very colorful designer. And we, of course, we got rid of the dog shit. So
Sure.
it was a fake Paris and no traffic jam. So it was a total lie. It was a total fake Paris.
Yeah.
And I have to say now, if I would make the film today, it wouldn't be impossible because with the new mayor, the streets are full of construction sites everywhere, some block of concrete in the middle of the road. And it's a total disaster, Paris. Don't come to Paris, please. You will be disappointed.
Oh, I've been there. I've been there once before, but it was many, many years ago. But I'll
Yeah,
take
it
your
was
word.
nice, but it's not nice anymore. And
Um,
it's so dangerous. When you walk, you have
mhm.
the bikes on the wrong way. It's okay now for them, but they want to kill you. They
Oh,
and also the scooter and also the deliverer the deliver for food. You know what I mean? The scooter for food. They drive very quickly, so it's so dangerous.
well, I mean, kind of springboarding off that in a way. This movie in Delicatessen, there's a sense of romance, but an off-kilter romance, both in the sense of the actors within it, but then, of course, the way you photograph things. And so, when you're going into those kind of modes, what do you take while directing that produces those kind of results when you're choosing cameras, editing, casting? how do you produce this sort of romantic feel out of these almost off kilter premises?
I don't know if it, the first idea was to make something positive. It was my very first note. At this time, the word, the line, feel-good movie didn't exist, I think. And but I wanted to make something positive, probably because after Alien Resurrection, very dark, very bloody, I wanted to make something nice, you know. And romantic because Amélie doesn't ask anything in return. But of course, we needed to give her, comment dire, récompense, give her something. And it was love, of course, because she had a monster to fight. And the monster was introversion. She was very introverted, you know. And it's the theme of all my film, a young guy or kid fighting against a monster and using for that imagination. Probably this is the story of my life. I won't tell you what was my monster because it's very personal, but I escaped from my banal life because I was a worker. When I was 17, 18, I was a worker. And I escaped because my imagination. So it was an opportunity to bring everything I wanted to make in a feature, original things. You see the heart beating like in a cartoon. You see some words shaking on the side of the edge of the frame. You know, everything I wanted to put, it's on Amelie.
Yeah. Do you think it's that sort of feel good quality that made it such a success overseas? Because it is the most, I think, still the most successful French
Yeah,
film
yeah,
worldwide.
yes, probably, but not only that, because you have also the positive theme, and also because you have some details. For example, when she put the hand on the grain, so some small details of the life. I love that. I have plenty of notes like this, and I made a short film a long time ago. Things I love, things I hate. It's on YouTube. You can see that. And also because of beautiful fake Paris and the beautiful music. And we met a great actress. She was new. She was unknown at this time. So, you know, sometimes the stars are in line in the sky. It's a kind of miracle. And it happens when once in a lifetime, unfortunately.
Oh, of course.
Michel Hazanavicius with the artist knew the same thing.
Mhm.
Everything was in line. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
Angelique Tato, she's become the phrase, in my opinion, the face of French cinema of this century. Can you tell kind of off the bat that that would happen when you found her? Because I understand the casting for her was sort of you saw her and that was it.
Yes, yes, because I wrote the film thinking about Emily Watson. I saw her on Breaking the Waves. She would have been a nice Amélie, but older, a little bit more Birgit Jones somewhere, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she quit, she left a few weeks before the shooting for personal reason. I didn't know why. And so I was totally depressed because, and I saw only two actresses, Emma Decaune, and the second one was Audrey. And you can see the casting on the bonus of the DVD.
Mhm.
And I remember I said, but where do you come from? After 10 seconds, I knew I had my Amelie. And
Yeah.
she brought something fresher on the film because she was younger.
Mhm. Yeah, she does bring just this sense of warmth to this movie and helping
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
And
She
it
is
is,
very emotional when she say, Je suis la belette de personne. I am the small animal of nobody, something like
yeah,
this.
yeah,
It's
but
so
she's
touching.
capable of so much.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just incredible to watch. So I want to go back a bit and talk about those influences of yours you were talking about, like in cartoons, seeing the heartbeat. And I wanted to talk about where those notions come from in your early life watching movies. What kind of were the big influences that
My
made you
main,
decide?
my main influence was a film I saw. I was 17. It was Once Upon a Time in the West from Sergio Leone,
Yeah.
and I couldn't speak during 3 days. My parents said, "Oh, you sick? What happened?" And I said, "No, you cannot understand." You know, this kind of- and because the close-up, because the music, because the sound design, especially at the beginning of the film with the drop, you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
it goes totally amazed. And it was a big influence since I saw this film. I was thinking only about short lengths like Sergio Leone or Terry Gilliam or Orson Welles. I use only 18 and 21, only that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. And also after that, I saw another film I saw 14 times in theater because at this time, no VCR, nothing. It was A Clockwork Orange. Not so much for the violence, of course, but for the style, for the form. It was amazing as well. Same thing, music, same thing for short length and blah blah. So the two most important things for me. And after that, I learned to appreciate more difficult films like Citizen Kane or La Dolce Vita from Fellini, you know. And recently, I discovered a masterpiece, a great movie, probably one of the best of the best. And I discovered it in the last year, and I am 70. Can you believe it? And the title is The Crane Are Flying, something like this, a
Yes, the
Russian
cranes are
film from
flying.
58. Golden
Yeah.
Palm in Cannes Film Festival in 58. Wow, this film is so fucking great.
Yeah.
The the frame, it's emotional, and the form is absolutely amazing. Well, masterpiece.
Yes, I got to see his I Am Cuba in theaters, and the
Yes, yes, also,
cinematography.
yeah, but I prefer the other one. But
Cranes are,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, those kind of camera moves are very complex, and watching Amelie, those kind of camera movements are sort of present in the way that it just kind of it moves, and the camera's very mobile,
Yeah,
and I wanted to know kind of where that idea came from as well, because it's very kinetic, extremely kinetic. And so, has that always been an interest of yours as well, and the camera
I don't know. I
sitting
met
through?
one day. I met John Woo in Hollywood when I was making Alien Resurrection, and he told me, "You and me, we are the same. We paint with the camera."
Mhm.
I don't know if we do that, but you know, I don't like realistic stories. No, as a spectator, I can appreciate Kenneth Loach movie, but as a director, I need to work and to play with everything in the box. The costume design, the production design, the music, the editing, the acting, the camera movement, everything. We have so many toys now. I am also a big fan about the film from the 40s in France, Marcel Carné's Children of Paradise, this kind of stuff in black and white, you know. But I complained for them because at this time they had so big cameras and no techno crane, nothing. And each time I work with this toy, I think about him and I said, oh, I would have been so happy to have this material. So
Mhm.
it's good to play with, even for the credit, I try to imagine something original for every credit.
Yeah. Well, speaking of playfulness, when you were making this, CGI was kind of just in its infancy in a way. Obviously, Pixar had come out and Titanic had come out, but the use of CGI on this kind of scale where it wasn't backed by anything major and it was just in this very intimate space.
Yeah.
What was that like?
But technically, it wasn't new because Marc Caro, from the beginning, we love to play with the technical stuff. Some people say I have a vintage look. Yes, but to reproduce the vintage look, we always use some high technology. We were the first to mix in digital for the City of Lost Children. We use video VFX for Delicatessen. Video, not digital, it was too early and blah 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 blah. It's for Spivet I shot in real 3D, etc. etc. So for Amélie, of course, it was a visual effect, but I use it for poetry, not for monster spaceship. You know, it was much more for poetry, like the example of the heart, or when she falls like in a puddle of water, this kind of stuff. And it was pretty new. And I remember Daniel Toscan du Plantier, a French producer, he saw that and he told me, this is a Marcel Carné, Jacques Prévert films, but with the new technology of today. It was a big compliment.
Yeah, it's like it's very incredible to watch. And so now moving forward to
And
the
an anecdote, sorry, I interrupted you. When I saw the film with Jacques Chirac, the French president,
Oh
at
yeah.
l'Élysée. He was beside me, and he, oh, it's full of visual effects, your film, and we don't see them.
Right. Right. You don't typically associate.
Yeah, it's full of
It
visual effects, we don't see them.
it blends in incredibly well. I love again that playfulness and eschewing realism, but the emotions are real. But those first 10 minutes of that movie of the narration, when I first saw that, had me in stitches. It was just so irreverent and but still true to life, understanding where this person comes from. So by the end, it's so cathartic and the
Yeah.
construction.
You know,
It's
it was pretty risky because during the first 15 or 20 minutes, the story doesn't start. And
right.
never do that. Never do that. I was very concerned. And during a screening, I was in the theater watching a Crouching Tiger or something like this.
Mhm.
I was preoccupied, and suddenly I had an idea to put in the middle of the presentation a small part saying, be patient, the story will start very quickly.
Yes.
We see just some small pieces of the future. And it was a good trick, I think. It was a good idea.
It was a good call. Obviously, it resulted in a Oscar nomination for screenplay. So, uh,
Nomination, but not the Oscar. But you know what? You know why? You know the story. That year, Miramax, Mr. Harvey Weinstein, my best friend, was boycotted by the Oscar Academy. They, in Hollywood Reporter, I remember a title, "We won't vote for Amélie." It was just to punish Harvey Weinstein.
mhm,
And it's funny because every year now, the Oscar Academy, not every year, but often they ask me to put a small part of Amélie in the best of the history of the Oscar. Can you believe it?
yeah,
And we didn't win. Who remember No Man's Land? No Man's Land, yeah. You
yeah.
know, yeah. So bad luck because it's a beautiful statue. I would have want to have this beautiful statue on my shelf. I miss it. The next time in Hollywood Boulevard, I will buy a fake one in plastic.
I'll be sure to pick one up. How about that? So now moving on to the present. Speaking of the legacy, the movie's getting re-released. It just got a new restoration, and very fittingly, it's being released on Valentine's Day. What was it like revisiting the film all these years later?
It's the same thing because it never stopped. You know,
Mhm.
3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, it was a screening in Cannes Film Festival on the beach for free. And they expected 50 people because it was a rainy day. And no, it was packed, 800 people, and they refused 200 other people. So it never stopped. Every day at my office, some people knock at the door because they see the poster. The other day, it was a little girl, 5 years old, and the parents told me she watched Amelie every day. Can you believe it? And at the cafe of Amelie, I am in the neighborhood, very close to the cafe of Amelie. Every 4 minutes, you have some picture of the cafe and some group. And it's funny because when I shop, I walk all along the group and they don't recognize me. It's pretty funny.
Mhm. That's beautiful.
Sorry.
Great. Yeah, that the movie's still being appreciated all these years later. I
Hmm.
believe that's all the time we have, but thank you so much. This is incredible.
Thank you. Thank you to you. Ah, by the way, do you know the true story of Amélie Poulain? La
I do not.
véritable histoire d'Amélie Poulain. Oh, watch it on YouTube.
Oh,
La véritable histoire d'Amélie Poulain. For the fun, I re-edit Amélie in 6 minutes, and it's a complotist story. I tell the story, the true. Amélie was a spy for the KGB, in fact. And it's totally stupid, totally silly, and it's very funny, I think. And it was
okay.
cheap, just re-editing some stock footages, a new music, and the voiceover with the same actor, André Dussolier. Look at that, it's very funny. And speak about that because I am very bad about the social network, so we had just under 400,000 view. This is peanuts. Look, speak about that.
I'll share it. That sounds
Okay,
fantastic.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice day in Los Angeles.